Alright, welcome to my development screencast. I am Techit and I have made a 3D game by using Unreal Engine 4. As a player, you will try to collect 10 gems which you can find from different NPCs and chests in the game. And meanwhile, you will be chased by grannies. Since by the game story, the main character, which is this guy, he has tried to steal a chest from the granny's house. So she basically got mad at you. And when the player starts the game, the character will spawn here in this lobby. And here the player will be taught what the character can do by exploring here. For example, if he comes close to this NPC and this chest, it will pop up E to search and just E here. We're showing how to interact with NPC. Moving to grading criteria, the game must be well tested, work flawlessly and intuitively with regard to controls. How did I test my game? I tested it by letting a friend who never knew that I developed this game, and he also did not play PC game much, but instead a big fan of TV console games such as Xbox and PS5. Feedback from him showed that it was difficult to figure it out how to make the character run, and he also did not figure it out how to open the inventory tab here. He said he tried to get some help showing default control by pressing the escape button, but it didn't help. There wasn't any help, so I decided to add this default control help to make it clear for the player how the control work. But otherwise, that friend said it was excellent quality and concept, and he did not report any bugs in the game or from the game. The next thing is teaching feedback and visual. The player will be taught by seeing visualizations and audios and hearing audios when interacting with different game objects. For example, here at the reward area, the player will be taught how to earn the gems by opening the chest, pressing E button, as well as you learn that this NPC is talkable, and this NPC will give him a gem. And some places in this map it will have more effect than other area, showing that there is something special like this teleport cycle and this grapple target. When the player come in to this teleport cycle, it will in this case it will pop up the E, which show how to do the teleportation. When the player is attacked by the granny, the character will scream like this owl with this owl visualization. So if you both scream and showing the screen that these granny are dangerous. Since there are different maps in the game, and these maps have different environment, I have provided a different visualization to help the player find the chests. For example, here in this cave map, this is a very dark map, but the map itself is not large. So here I help the player to find the chest by attaching a flashing light so that the player will notice that is something blinking, like there, over there, and here. In this map, there's a larger one than the cave, and here I use, as you can see, the bubble effect to show the player where the chest is located. The chests are like everywhere where the bubble like coming up. About the progressions, when you start the games, the player will be in the lobby, and I consider it as an easy start, since the player will not get attacked from grannies. And in this game, there is nothing like your character will be stronger, have higher level, or something like that. But there are different maps in the games, and I also will not say that some of them are harder than other, but there are various environment, so it just requires different skills to solve the problem of both fighting chests and avoiding grannies. So as you can see here, it is just a village in this level 2. Yeah, it is like different level have like different environments. So this map is kind of open world. So the player just have to like adapt based on experience, what he or she have to. Next things are skills and experience. About skill and experience, player with experience will know safe places where he or she can stay safely from the grannies, and also they will know that they can try to find, like grab a target like this one by left clicking the mouse when exploring the map when there are no grannies around, and this is for preparing when running from grannies, since doing grapple it costs some mana, and by knowing the location, like exactly where the target are in the map, it will help in resource management, and new player will just panic and when they face the grannies for the first time and just run without knowing how to come to safe area. Or maybe in my friend's case, he just run toward the grannies and he just took damage and then he realized that, oh no, granny are dangerous, so yeah, he has to run away from the grannies. The last thing is complexity. For example, here in this village map, there is not much complexity. The player just run when there is granny chasing time and try to find uh, chest and NPC as the basic gameplay. And here in the cave level, the player must find the correct grapple target and landing like correct landing rock so that he can continue jumping to the rock where the chest is located. So for example here, the player must aim this target and then jump down to this chest. And also when fighting the chest, the player has to like observe this blinking light to find the chess. And here in the last map, the player must observe the bubble, like this one, the bubble, to come closer to the chess. And here there is another complexity that the player face. So the player has to choose the right path to the chess here, one here and one here. And if the player just go through the labyrinth, it will be very difficult. But since there is a grappling target here, what the player can do is he can just come up here first and then look at the labyrinth, observe the way, and then he can plan to go like the path that lead him to the chest, and also the path that he can take to come back to the start. And there will be grannies here as well, so the player has to avoid the grannies. And in this building, you may not see that right now, but it is also a labyrinth. So in this place, the player has no choice but just go through the labyrinth, find a way to the chest and the way out. And there are two more complexity in this map. The first one is here at this hill. So the player has to like plan or calculate when he wants to climb this hill. Otherwise, if he land at the top when the granny chasing time is on or available, the grannies will spawn here and the granny will just attack the player, and there is no much space for the player to avoid the attack. The same as this hill, but it is a little bit easier to avoid the attack at this hill, since the degree of this hill is not as much as the first one. And the last complexity is here in this tall building. So there is a chest here that the player has to visit and like get the gems. But after the player has earned the gem, the player has to come back to the map. If this is not the last chest that the player open, he can avoid like come back to the outworld by like leaving the chest as the last chest. But if he doesn't, he must like do the grappling up here to come out from this building. But it doesn't enough to just do one grappling, but he just must do like two grappling. He must plan the mana that he will use when he do the grappling, so that it's like enough for two grappling at least. And I think this is all for me. So thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoy my game when you test the game.